In the 11 plus years Clash of Clans has been around, it has seen many different forms of cheating, with some being more extreme than others. And today we're going to be going over the history of some of the most significant cheats in the history of the game, so let's get straight into it. The first major form of cheating in Clash of Clans was actually done by the top players of the game, and this was something called cheap shielding. It was basically where one player would have some sort of agreement with their clan and other clans, so that if they came across their account in matchmaking, they would just take some loot but lose the battle on purpose, and this in turn made it so that the defender got trophies and also got free shields, which was the most important part because this made it so that nobody else will be able to attack you, meaning that you wouldn't be able to lose trophies. And this was a form of cheating that a bunch of the number 1 players used back in the early days of Clash of Clans and still sometimes used to a certain extent today. And some of them would even have multiple accounts that they leveled up just for the purpose of feeding shields to their main accounts. And while some people can argue that this isn't exactly cheating, since it could just be argued that this was playing the game strategically, but the other cheat around this time was definitely more obvious, and this was bypassing the personal break timer. This was a feature that was actually removed from the game a while ago, but its purpose was to stop people from just staying on the game 24/7 because that meant no one would be able to attack them, and that is obviously a massive problem. However, some of the top players in the game had figured out how to bypass this feature and were abusing it for months until people realized what was going on, and then whatever the method was got patched. And eventually the feature just got removed entirely and it got replaced with something a little more advanced. And there's one video showcasing someone that made a Lego machine that could literally just tap on the screen every couple of seconds, and that was what let you stay on like 24/7, which I assume was one of the biggest reasons that the personal break timer was added to the game. And I honestly just find this whole thing pretty crazy, but it is also kind of genius, and it's just too bad that it doesn't work anymore. And this stuff was really the main ways of cheating for the first 2 to 3 years of the game, and obviously there are just straight up hacks, so I'm not going to be going over that type of stuff in this video, since that's just a little too basic and boring. But Clash of Clans would enter a new phase of cheating with things like private servers, and these have been a highly debated and controversial topic over the years due to many reasons. First of all, people that support private servers argue that it just doesn't affect the actual game, which is very much true, and others say that private servers are illegal, which is also true. But the thing is that private servers are really fun to play around with, and I know that I had spent tons of time on these private servers back when they were really popular, and all you had to do was change the IP address on your device to access them. Now, it is a little more complicated and much more risky, so it is obviously why Supercell is very much against them. But there was really just such a big phase back then where it seemed like everyone was playing on the private servers, and this is what allowed so many weird things to happen, such as having a million dragons or some really weird bases or something. But I think the biggest reason people really played these were to experience things at the higher tunnel levels that they hadn't unlocked, or to just practice with other troops who would test them out. So despite being so fun to play, the private servers are still considered cheating by Supercell, but they had defined an entire era of Clash of Clans. And something else that these private servers were used for was for actually promoting cheats and scams. Obviously, you could have infinite resources in the private servers, so people would just fill up their gems and then use those screenshots to try and promote scams, which are basically just all of those free gems websites, which ends up stealing your data or leading to some surveys, but usually just both of those combined. But unfortunately, there are still tons of these free gem sites around, and people still haven't learned that it is literally impossible to get hacked gems. But moving on, the game also saw a rise in bots and automated attacks. Now, these are really interesting to see. First of all, you can tell it's something that has been automated or controlled because of the precise movements and deployments of all the troops. And second of all, these bots just place down the troops way faster than any human ever could. There was a bit of a rise and emergence of these cheats because they helped players be able to do the same attack each time and not mess up, but it also definitely had its drawbacks. You had to use an army that you could do the same placements for each time instead of some armies that depended on the layout of the enemy base, but there are quite a lot of them, so that wouldn't be that big of an issue if your goal was just 1 or 2 stars. But I honestly just don't get why people would use this, because the whole fun of the game is literally attacking other people. So having a bot that does the attacks for you just kind of takes the fun out of the game. And some people might also say that this isn't cheating, but being able to place so many troops so fast, so precisely is 100% not something you're supposed to be able to do, which makes it be considered cheating. The next form of cheating is possibly one of the most annoying and worst types, and that is teaming in the clan war leagues. This was a massive problem when it first came out, and it is still a big problem to this day. How it works is that some clans may reach out to the others in the same roster, and they will plan to team up so that both of them can get perfect scores when they face each other by making their bases super easy to attack, which helps boost their total stars in the roster they are all in, and it greatly increases their chances for making it to the top because they got a massive boost from getting all 3 stars in one of their wars. And this is obviously the most annoying type of cheat because it can really mess up some normal fair players and even get them demoted. Plus, it's just a really cheap thing to do, and it's not something you can do in every single week that this goes on for, because a lot of people also just aren't going to want to do it. So it just ends up being pointless because a clan that got promoted because of this could get demoted the next week. And that has really been the most recent one because clan war leagues are also relatively recent. But I also want to talk about some honorable mentions that didn't really fit in, since I know I only went over a couple of the big cheats. One big cheating or hacking type thing that has just been around over the years is with hacked accounts. Now, there are a ton of different examples of this throughout many years, but this is basically where people end up glitching or cheating or doing something to make their account show some stuff that just shouldn't be possible. And this type of stuff doesn't really hurt the game in any way, but it is amusing to look at. And another thing is also with bases. There are quite a lot of instances where people have really wacky bases, such as the one where someone has a gold mine placed outside of the buildable space in their home village, or other bases that just have like no walls or no defenses or something. And this was because in the past, you didn't actually need to place down all of your buildings before leveling up, which causes some of these weird bases. And Supercell had also done a massive ban wave where they banned a lot of the accounts that had glitched out or hacked bases, but there's still a bunch that didn't end up getting banned. But this is also the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know if I missed any other big cheats that happened over the course of the game, since these are just the main ones that I could think of off the top of my head. And I'm sure there are probably some other ones out there that I just ended up forgetting, and I also do want to say a massive thank you for the support on my recent videos.